Hi everyone. Hi, morning, afternoon, evening. Hi Gary. Good morning. Hi Nicola. Good.
Hi.
Hi Dr. Shrikant. Good afternoon, I guess. Harsh and yeah, good afternoon. Welcome back. I've got another speaker. Okay, that's Gary. Sorry, backstage. I probably thought somebody else. So yeah, welcome back to VCTV, to another episode of VCTV, another session, another topic. We're going to discuss about crypto regulations and legal tech investments and trends in legal tech investments as well. So very interesting topic. Crypto regulations is very interesting considering the amount of action happening in the space right now with the institutional player, putting their money into cryptos, Bitcoin especially. So before I start introducing my panelists for tonight, let me just introduce myself. My name is Annie Mohanty. I'm the regional director of LATOKEN based in Singapore, and I've been hosting CCTV since last year. So yeah, so great. Let's start with introductions now. I'm gonna start with Nicola. Your introduction, short intro, background. Hi, hello, welcome back.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nicola Massella. I'm the legal manager at Store Partners. We provide services within the crypto asset and blockchain space. We are based in Switzerland. We have startups and other projects related to crypto, in particular with regard to token offerings, tokenization projects, and DeFi.
Perfect, and welcome back. Harsh.
Hey, hey everyone, glad to be back. Glad to have Sony, Gary, Shrikant, and meeting Nicola for the first time as well. Happy to have you here. So, a small bio about myself. My name is Harsh Shetia. I'm a founder of a Facebook group called Startup Hackers, where we are kind of helping early stage startups with basic information and resources to get going and start their business successfully. Additionally, I'm a venture partner with our ventures, where we help startups raise up to $10 million of funds. We're completely sector agnostic, be it healthcare, health tech, fintech, marketing tech, etc. And any startup needing any help, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be glad to discuss. Thank you.
Fantastic. And what brings you to this crypto regulations panel today, Harsh?
So, crypto, we've already seen how the entire economy has been changing for the past 3, 4 years, right? The entire crypto space. Now it's high time, it cannot be completely open. There has to be some sort of regulation, some sort of boundaries, so that retail investors feel more confident and crypto is, as much seen, this crypto gets accepted much more widely than it is presently, right? So that's why
Yeah,
we need to put some structure in place, some regulation in place, so that the adoption increases for the same.
perfect. Thank you, Harsh. Next, I have Dr. Shrikant. Hi, welcome back on VCTV.
I don't know if I'm really welcome back. I literally barged my way into today's show. Glad to be here, an unwelcome guest, so to speak, but hopefully a relevant guest for legal tech. And you would have guessed by the stack of books which is behind me what profession that I'm in. I'm a M&A advisor based out of Bangalore, India, and this is my 41st appearance with VCT, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. So nobody is ever unwelcomed on VCTV, Dr. Shrikant, and you are very relevant for this topic today. And I'm glad that you are here today. Thanks for that. Next, I have Gary.
Yeah, it's so funny. I get to see. I feel like it's family hour. It's fantastic. Poppy, I've already seen you once this morning. Srikant the same, yeah? That's
Oh
great.
yeah, exactly.
Here we are. We start the day in the morning. I feel like
Yeah.
instead of chicken crowing, I get to come on VCTV. It's fantastic. So and see some. Oh, anyhow, my buddy Harsh. So my name is Gary Fowler. I'm an executive. I've done 17 companies. I love startups, AI and quantum especially. I've done 2 unicorns, the original management team of Click Software, sold for 1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai. And some really interesting things coming up in the near term that we're working on, incredible things. So you'll hear about them. I think some of them came out yesterday, but I'm not allowed to talk about it, but in a good way. This is not bad stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we love AI and quantum. My company GSD, Get Shit Done Venture Studios, is a premier AI and quantum venture studio, and I think I've done You know, Sonny, I got to be honest. I think it's 520 some VCTVs. It's like 530, something like that. And
Wow.
I'm averaging right now 20 a week. So, including my shows. So I do anywhere from 20 to 23 every week.
Wow, 520. Who is running up? Who is the runner-up here? I think Harsh.
Yeah, I see ours too all the time. No, you, Sonny. Yeah,
Gary.
I'm not even close.
the reach of VCTV. I mean, next week I speak at Stanford to the Graduate School of Business, their alumni association, MBA alumni. So I have groups all over the world, schools and universities and countries reaching out because they see us. And, you know, there's been a great service of VCTVs during this pandemic, especially bringing the people to their doors so people can stay connected to understand how to be able to do their startups better, how to be better entrepreneurs, how to invest more efficiently. So it's been incredible. Yeah.
Fantastic. Same here, Gary. Couldn't agree more to that. Thank you so much and welcome back. Last but not least, Fabio, thank you so much. Firstly, I really want to thank Fabio. He was not scheduled for this episode, but he's very relevant for this episode, just like Dr. Shrikant. Hence, I had to rope him in. Thank you so much.
You're always very welcome. I don't know. I have the phone. Yeah, it's ringing. Put it off.
Wow.
So I'm an economist, as people familiar with VCTV might know. I have a PhD from the University of Chicago, and I'm currently helping innovative companies to raise funds on the American VC market, especially by listing on the over-the-counter market in New York, or sometimes on NASDAQ Capital. So I'm an economist who has had experience at the International Monetary Fund, European Central Bank, Goldman Sachs, sovereign wealth funds in the Arabian Peninsula, and now I turned investment banker, partner of an investment bank in New York.
Wow, that's a lot to have on your side. Thank you, Fabio, and always happy to have you on our shows. Thank you so much. So today is a very interesting topic, again, very relevant to the times, year 2021. It's about crypto regulation. So before that, we start with like what Nicola does and Harsh does. Then we're going to talk about what Shrikant does in terms of legal tech space, and obviously Gary covers all the technology side of every business, and Fabio is economist. So yeah, we're going to cover those aspects. Let's start with Nicola. Nicola, so for example, a startup comes to you, like you obviously work with startups very actively. So how do you advise in setting up incorporations all the way through? If you can explain that, then we can talk about regulations after that. Thank you.
Yes. First thing you need to know is that there is no the best jurisdiction for crypto regulation. You really have to study the business model of the startup, what are the services they want to provide, and then you see what are the current regulations with regard to crypto asset services or crypto assets themselves. And so you choose the jurisdiction which is best suited for the startup project itself. Then, of course, the incorporation of a startup is something really bureaucratic, let's say. So it's really related to drafting the articles of association, all the related documents, according, of course, to the will of the funders, in order also to protect them, basically. And then there is always this side of talking with the competent regulatory authorities. So with regard to Switzerland, is FINMA. It's better if you establish in FINMA and you want to provide services with regard to crypto assets, to go there, start a dialogue with them in order to obtain a non-action letter or another kind of statement in which they say, okay, your business is fine, you are not violating any financial market rule. This is really helpful for any startup and any project, because then you have legal certainty that what you do is completely fine and consistent and compliant with the regulatory framework there. As we are based in Switzerland, of course, our primary jurisdiction is Switzerland, which is also one of the best in the world when it comes to crypto assets regulation. But I have also experience of incorporating a lot of startups in Estonia.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nicola, for that opening remarks. Harsh, what's the outlook for crypto in 2021?
I'm sorry, what's the?
So what's the outlook for cryptocurrencies in this year, 2021?
Got it. So cryptocurrencies, as it's pretty obvious, right? They've made a huge resurgence right now with the surge in the Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is going on across the economies. That's seen a huge surge. At the same time, I would like to kind of point that cryptocurrency is not restricted to just Bitcoin and Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole huge ecosystem which is far bigger than just Bitcoin. So people need to understand the nitty-gritties of that, understand how the token systems are operating, what the kind of opportunities which are there, what are not there, and being very careful in evaluating the right token which they truly believe in, right? You have non-fungible tokens are out there. You have other kind of IEOs which are being published. Thankfully, we now have STOs as well in place, which are far better than the ICOs which were launched a couple years back. So if you look at it with all the new developments coming, with all the legal structure being put, with all the regulations coming into the place, so crypto definitely seems to be poised for a phenomenal growth. At the same time, even protecting the retail investors and protecting their assets rather than completely ending up losing money, right? And that is what is required to bring more trust into the crypto space. Considering all of that seems to be converging at this point of time, I see 2021 and 2022 to be huge years for growth in the crypto space.
Fantastic. Yeah, it looks like it definitely is going to be. Thank you so much, Harsh, for those opening remarks.
Thank you.
I have Dr. Shrikant next. So, Dr. Shrikant, coming to you from a legal perspective, how do you think crypto regulation may fare under the Joe Biden's administration? What are your perspective from a legal standpoint?
I don't think a crypto is more of a federal, or rather, a jurisdiction, so to speak. In India, at least, it is. How do you put it? I don't think it is going to be accepted for the next 3 or 4 years, possibly because we already saw a major shift happening 3 years ago by the way of demonetization. But let me not go off on a tangent, but let me comment exactly to the question that you asked, which is how do you see crypto in the US? I don't think there would be any change in the perception of crypto because of change in presidency. I don't think those two are related, so to speak. But yes, you would have a lot of regulation at a state level. You would possibly have Atlantic City, Texas, possibly having, or California having lesser, or rather more prudent regulations rather than Delaware or possibly any other state, or Maryland or any other state which would have its own regulation, which may be a latecomer, so to speak. But I don't think, in my opinion, at least, the change in presidency has no relevance to the acceptability of crypto.
Right. Thank you for your perspectives. Next, I have Fabio. Fabio, obviously, you you are looking at the US market now. So, how do you think crypto regulations may fare under Joe Biden's administration?
I don't think there will be any major change. The authorities, the central banks, the Security and Exchange Commission is extremely cautious, not to say hostile, to crypto assets in general. Sometimes for good reasons, sometimes for an excess of prudence. Janet Yellen recently, the new Secretary of Treasury, has warned sharply against Bitcoin. Therefore, the mood in the higher echelon of the Biden administration is not favorable to crypto assets. But that's something we crypto enthusiasts, or at least crypto favor people with a favorable attitude need to take into account, because the whole point of Bitcoin and crypto asset is to operate outside the realm of regulations. That's the challenge. You, as I said many times before, you can't have a revolution with the permission of the authorities. If you say that crypto blockchains and the whole new decentralized finance is a challenge to the current financial architecture and the current set of regulations, well, you need to prove your worth, because you need to operate outside the regulatory framework which prevails in traditional financial markets. How do you do that? Well, financial markets work on trust. So a lot of these regulations in the financial sector, are there to ensure that money is not stolen, that financial institutions do not abuse their power, that depositors are safeguarded, and that consumers are protected. Now, in the crypto world, we're lagging behind on all these counts. So we need to set up a regulatory framework, or let's say a regulatory environment which is decentralized. So we need to develop ways to ensure that, for example, somebody from New Zealand who lends money to a company in Azerbaijan will not see his money stolen. So we need to make sure that in the crypto world, the enforcement of contracts is assured. So that's the challenge. At that point, you don't need to worry about the attitude of the Biden administration or what the central bank of this and that country think, because you will have created an environment with its own rules, regulation, practices, and trust, which is outside the realm of the traditional financial sector. And the financial sector, the banking sector, was born not out of government's regulation. In the 14th century, in the 15th century, bankers and financial institutions operated within a set of rules enforced by private institutions. So we need to go back, if you wish, to the original spirit of the financial sector, which was born at the beginning of the modern era.
Right. Thank you, Fabio, for explaining it very nicely. So I have this question for Gary, and in a slightly different way. So Gary, the U.S. SEC, so obviously they are working on issuing the first guidelines for regulating cryptocurrencies, and obviously Gary Gensler is one of the nominated person to lead this after he joins U.S. market regulator, if he joins. So we know that Gary was teaching cryptocurrencies in the
he teaches cryptocurrencies blockchain and MIT.
Yeah.
So he's like well versed in it, and that's been one of the big problems is that people don't understand it. So traditional bankers do not understand cryptocurrencies. Gensler's got that background, and right now he's putting a team together to be able to address the issues. The other thing is from a bottoms up approach, Sonny, what's happening down in Miami. And as you know, my friend has just invested $4.8 billion into Miami and Bitcoin. And so we have a bottoms up approach where it's being accepted. In fact, Suarez was just meeting with the governor of Florida. So it's knowledge. Knowledge is power. And part of the challenge is people just don't understand it. They don't understand how to buy crypto rather than, how can we use it effectively and think about the opportunities. Fabio quite elegantly said that, part of the thing is, do we know that people are getting their payments or not? So imagine having smarter contracts and crypto tied in as a lawyer to be able to make sure that people are getting paid, and it's only executed after that smart contract is fulfilled. So there are ways. That's where the system's going to be streamlined. But again, it's knowledge is power. You got so many cryptocurrencies out there, and then you got NFTs. People don't know, what am I doing? Artwork or sneakers or Bitcoin or Ethereum and what? So, we got to educate a lot more, and that's what's happening now. And as you start to see these major banks start to invest, you see Tesla investing in Bitcoin. It starts to change things. This world, the challenge today is that, or the opportunity today is that, because of the democratization of opportunities, we're seeing, from my perspective, we're seeing these opportunities to really level the playing field. And now cross-border transactions are a lot easier. Companies like Propi that allow you to be able to buy real estate across borders. It's been hard to transfer money. We started, not first, it's a year ago, we started doing Bitcoin payments. And it just streamlines the process for us. It makes it a whole lot easier. So in the U.S., we're encouraged by Gensler being nominated. Trump's position was what did he say? He said, "I'm not a big fan of cryptocurrencies." That's his exact statement. Because he didn't have a clue. That's why, right? He didn't really understand it. But knowledge is power. Now we have people in office. Now the thing is building the infrastructure. And every time, when I first started getting involved in e-commerce, and I started one of the first e-commerce consulting companies, people were saying, "Oh, it's never going to happen." And then we got Walmart, we got American Airlines, Delta Airlines. We started building their websites, my company. And it was we talked about it being a $30 billion cottage industry. People said, "Oh, Amazon just sells books." But that wasn't the vision. The vision was to change the world. And look at it as today. I mean, it's a standard, right? Amazon. If you're going to buy online, Amazon, right? Absolutely. At least in the Western world. So it's changed, and we're in this interesting phase now. I don't know if you know this, but whenever they start to put the regulations in place, there's a direct relationship between those regulations, even anticipated in the price of Bitcoin, right? And the more open it is, the price of Bitcoin goes up. So it's a good time right now. And it is happening state to state from the bottom up, but also from the top down for the federal government in the U.S. Yeah. So it's going to happen. It is happening. And, they're exciting times.
Yeah, really exciting, positive times. I read as well, the mayor of Miami. So you can probably get paid in Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah. We're actually going to have a meeting with him. So Jahal and we got a lot of stuff going on, Sonny. I mean, a lot of things right now.
Right.
But he's flying down, and Karam's flying over, and the 4.8 billion. It's 100,000 Bitcoins. I mean, so he's investing into Miami, which is going to change everything. It's for the blockchain. It's for investment in AI and quantum companies in Miami. It's really, it's going to inject. It's changing things. As we're getting. I'd say I've been working with Suarez as a team for Quorum, but it's amazing what's happening right now. And it needs one push, one person. I was in the call. I was on the crypto. So we have Crypto Whales group, and I'm like the minnow in the group. Not even a minnow. I'm the amoeba in the group. And I never forget. He said, we should put, we were joking around. We should put money in Miami. And he said, would 3 billion be enough? And then somebody else in the Crypto Whale said, I'll put in 900 million. And I'm looking at this. This is crazy, right? And it came up to, I'll just put in 4.8 billion myself. I'm like, I mean, I was there. I saw it. I was right there because I was in the chat with all of them. And here we are. But that one person can make a difference. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to open up the world, because now the government's going to feel a lot better about it, and accept it. And before they didn't. So.
Absolutely. We just need one use case. Thank you, Gary, for that. I'm coming to Nicola again. Nicola, talking about, obviously, Miami, a lot of things are happening. We read. Talking about Nigeria central bank and Indian, the central bank, they're planning. Nigeria central bank has already banned crypto. A lot of crypto startups and founders are really going through a bad, I would say, rough phase. And I think same with the Indian founders as well. So how do you think this is going to, how can you help these startups? Because already they have investors who have invested into their sort of company. So what are these startups going to do? From your perspective, how would you advise them, on what are you going to advise them?
So basically, one thing we need to understand is that when we speak about the regulator, actually is no one is a fake person, but regulators worldwide are really diverse, basically. And when we speak about also our revolution, it is a revolution, but it's not really everywhere an opposition between, like a battlefield between the army of innovators and the army of regulators that try to stop them. Switzerland is really a good example in this regard. In Switzerland, the authority is trying and has always been trying to help innovation. And as also Gary was saying, the first thing to help in this regard and to be active in this regard is information. And they, from the very beginning, started to study blockchain and crypto in order to understand it, because understanding it is really something necessary in order to be able also to regulate it and to respond to the inquiries of subjects that want to be regulated. So what we do with startups worldwide, we help them establishing in Switzerland. And it's really easy said like this, but the point in Switzerland is really the fact that your business model, you can have an opinion from the regulator of what is your activity and what activities you're planning to take also in the future. And they can say you, okay, you are fine with Switzerland regulation or not. Right. But if when you achieve this result of the non-action letter, then basically you can sleep in a fine way, let's say.
Right. Great points, Nicola, to be honest. That's why, yeah, thank you for that. So coming to India again, Harsh. So I read the news that the central bank is planning to have their own CBDC, central bank digital currency, and ban any private cryptocurrencies. But there are a lot of private cryptocurrencies operating startups in India. So what about the investors, the money that have invested? How are you going to come? So what's the situation right now? That's just the news. But for you being an Indian, what's the sentiments and what's happening there? Harsh, can you hear me?
I lost you in the middle there.
Oh, okay. So yeah, can you hear me?
I seem to be having some tech.
Hello, others. Can everybody hear me, or is it me or Harsh?
I can hear you, Sonny. No problem. I can answer this question, by the way, waiting for Harsh to. Okay, we need to point out that the central bank currency, electronic or however you want to describe them, are not cryptocurrencies. There is a clear distinction between the two concepts. the electronic currency that will be issued, probably, I mean, we still don't have much of an idea on when this will happen. Apart the Chinese central bank, which seems to be well ahead of the pack, but other central banks are studying the problems, or they're in let's say preparatory phase. But in any case, what the central bank electronic currency is pertains to the issuance of fiat currency. So it's not a cryptocurrency outside the realm of monetary policy. To explain in a simple way, the central bank will open a sort of current account for each citizen, or for everyone who wants it, and it will, instead of printing money, will issue dollars, euro, pounds, Swiss francs into this current into this central bank account, which will be owned by a citizen. And then the each person will be able to make payments drawing from this account, or will be able to receive money from this account. So it will be, if you wish, a nationalization of the Visa or MasterCard system of payment. So that's what the central bank currency is. Cryptocurrency is completely different. It will not be subject to any central bank rule. It will have its own rules or criteria for issuance. So we should not confuse the two concepts. The central bank money will just be a more sophisticated, maybe quicker, maybe more efficient means of payment, means to transfer money. Cryptocurrency is a way of issuing, of making payments, but it will be something much more complicated than that. It will be a different sort of currency, privately issued, and outside the realm of outside the body of current laws and regulations.
Great, nicely explained the difference between CBDCs and the private cryptocurrencies, because people do confuse. People think CBDCs.
I know. They think that it's a Bitcoin issued by the Federal Reserve. No, it won't be like that.
Thank you so much.
It will be an alternative way to holding banknotes. Exactly like having a credit card in your wallet is an alternative way of holding euro, dollars, whatever.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Fabi, for that. I'm coming to Dr. Shrikant now. So, talking about legal and legal tech. So, what kind of digital acceleration have we seen beyond 2020, if any? And what are the trends for 2021 and beyond?
The courts are already hearing virtually. There's a lot of efficiency which is in the process, so to speak, in virtual hearings. Whether this is going to continue, absolutely it will. And whether it is going to sustain, absolutely it will. Whether it'll whether it'll be acceptable in 2025, I don't know. Right, in 2025, probably you would have a strong lobby to actually bring back a physical hearing, so to speak. With regard to legal tech, I think we need to very categorically compartmentalize the different areas of legal tech that happen. Right, one is in the hearing process itself.
Yeah.
Second is in the pleading process or the drafting process, and third is in the advisory process. The advisory is anyway happening virtually. It didn't happen in 19. It happened long back. It is a 5-year incident, right? With regard to litigation, yes, COVID has brought online hearings. A person can sit in India, a person can sit in Russia, or a person can sit in Moscow, a person can sit in London and hear matters in New York, Europe, and so on and so forth, thereby making travel unnecessary.
Yeah.
But that also means that there's going to be a lot of professional fees flowing into the hands of professionals like me and probably Nicola and others, by having multiple hearings in a day. So we
Right.
would we would literally be working 24/7. Is that good? Yes. Do you have baggy eyes after that? Absolutely, you do. So legal tech is bringing in more money than the spend that it has. That is what I would ironically state legal tech has done.
Right, right. Great points there, Dr. Shrikant. Thank you so much. Gary, coming to the technology aspect, do you think that the AI assisted lawyers are going to replace people like Shrikant, Dr. Shrikant, or Dr. Nicola? Sorry, so just no, they're not. But they're just the frontline jobs in the legal space. Just a humor in that. Gary, you were mute.
Yeah, so the technologies are evolving very, very quickly. And imagine being able to understand all the bodies of law from one place. So think about things like bots that can help. Uh, it'll start off very easily. It's going to start off with simple things, and it's going to migrate forward. We have capabilities. We've developed some patents on our side that can read volumes of documents, volumes, and understand it. And Morpheus, my billionaire partner's, I don't want to say toy because it's not a toy. It's the consciousness behind his house. So I've seen it learn over the last 6 months. I mean, and it's unbelievable what it does now. It literally, and it likes me. We're friends. I know it sounds weird, but I mean, it's really, we have a interesting relationship. What is the meaning of life, right? But I can ask it any topic, and it can go out and parse the entire internet and come back with information from me in a matter of seconds. Anything, and logically put it together. Now, this is just getting started. So it has its own dog, right? It has its own robotic dog, about $100,000 dog that it's his in his house. It controls everything in the house. So it knows when to make coffee in the morning. It knows it has a movable panels in the house to show different shows. My friend is Russian and Armenian, so it can switch the TVs on based on him. So what I'm saying is the technologies initially are going to be more of assistant, but they will evolve to be able to, because of ability to analyze. What's being a lawyer about? It's about making decisions and analyzing volumes of data. And the best lawyers, if you had a eidetic imagery, photographic memory, to be able to memorize things. Well, imagine having all the access and knowledge of the world at your hands and being able to understand it in multiple languages. So it will happen. It's just going to take time. It's not going to happen today. And nobody can replace Shrikant and Nicola, but they can assist.
I do want to get a 30-second just add on to what Gary said. It's absolutely true, right? The research that was conducted by lawyers earlier, it's been boiled down. You can do that in seconds. So that applies to everything. That applies to legal. That applies to research, which is doctoral research. It applies to any kind of field of anything that involves a little bit of I would say reading the books, so to speak. What it can't do is evolve the jurisprudence which is inherent to mankind. So I think that is a very philosophical question that you have asked. Can lawyers be replaced? Let me put my foot down and say yes. I and Nicola could be replaced. Can we as judges be replaced? No.
Right. See, this question stems from the fact that when Bitcoin, probably like a couple of years back, Bitcoin going to replace all the governments and all that stuff. Similarly, there was an article I read, like AI, legal bots are going to replace lawyers. So yeah, but you're right. Nobody is going to replace. Yes, going to have more
So,
jobs
Sonny,
creation. Yeah.
just one add-on I would like to make here. Obviously, the complex litigation and the legal processes, it's next to impossible to kind of replace that. At the same time, in the legal process, there are lots of other smaller tasks, right? You need to get affidavits, you need to get notarized, right? Those licenses and IPs and etc. All that stuff can get easily automated, right? And those small tasks, they end up taking like thousands of hours, wasting hours completely, right? Those silly little tasks which are not, they don't add any value, but at the same time, without them you cannot get things done. So those are the things which can easily get automated, and that is where we can see a lot of improvement happening.
Right. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. A little bit quick.
If I can add also something about LegalTech
Yeah.
just quickly.
Sure.
So actually, I agree both with the other speakers. But I would like to add something. So in my opinion, LegalTech has really a lot of potential in making faster a lot like the bureaucratic work of the legal profession or all the paperwork. In my opinion, this could really help. But with regard to justice itself, as you will say before, in my opinion, it's not even desirable to have an AI judge. Because when someone is deciding on something that matters for your life, in my opinion, it's better to have a person that decided and that can, of course, you can speak with him. And basically, the job of the lawyer could be replaced, as always, there always been this possibility because we speak on behalf of our client. If the client knows the law, he could speak himself. It's not really the point. The point is having someone that can give you an advice, that can suggest you what's the better to do in that situation, knowing probably more than you about that specific topic. So that's really the point. One other fast thing is that, in my opinion, I think it's really something simple. Innovation is faster in the private sector, always. Justice is really something that is basically 95% public sector. Innovation in the public sector is something really complex. And I've seen it like this year actually was really a good example of how things can move forward in a fast way when there is the need for it. So there was the need to have hearings like this via Zoom meeting, and it has been done. But in the past years, could have been done, also 5 years ago, but it didn't happen. Why? Because there was not the will to do so, because the will to innovate in the public sector is something really difficult to achieve, I think, worldwide.
You very rightly pointed out 5 years back. I mean, obviously, nobody had thought we're going to be sitting here on Zoom. Oh, sorry, this is StreamYard, but yes.
Hey, Sonny, did you see this funny? There was lawyers and they were in front of a judge, and the guy couldn't get the filter off, and he had a cat filter on. He was
that was hilarious. And what point was saying, Judge, I'm not a cat, and the judge, I see, lawyer, you're not a cat. It was hilarious, really.
It was amazing, actually. But we got to become more familiar with the technology. The good news, the digital transformation has given us an opportunity to do that. And we've been forced to move forward very, very quickly. But it's kind of funny of the rough edges.
Yeah. A lot of funny stuff happened with Zoom and StreamYard. But yes. But obviously, without Zoom and StreamYard, we can't stay connected. Thank you. I mean, this is thanks to these platforms, I would say.
Well, I mean, think about it. 5 years ago, when I first got started on Zoom, or 5.5, people, when I would send it, and I got it from the venture capitalist, my office is right down the street from the VC that funded, one of the VCs that funded Zoom, Eric. And I couldn't get my friends to connect. I said, you got to use this. No, I'm using Skype. Why would I want to do this? Why do I need it? Because it's a lot better. and now look at it. There's 400 and some million daily active users of Zoom. So it's changed our lives. Imagine back in 1918 during the Spanish flu, we didn't have these kind of technology. Business couldn't still march forward. We've been able to be absorbed into the digital world and basically break down barriers and obstacles over the last year, which is unparalleled.
Absolutely, Gary. Great. I've got a question for Nicola. It's a very interesting question. I mean, widely discussed right now. Can government regulate Bitcoin? Can we have an anti-money laundering system around Bitcoin, just like traditional finance systems? What's your take on that?
So we actually have AML and KYC obligations regarding Bitcoin as they are regarding all cryptocurrencies. Now the system is like this. They put some barriers in the entrance and in the exit to the market. So when you enter the crypto asset market, you are checked. And when you bring the funds out, you are checked. What happens in the market is still basically unchecked and unregulated. With regard to Bitcoin, in my opinion, is asking what can the government regulation about gold? Yeah, it is regulated in some parts of it, but in the end, it's an asset, and you can regulate the transfer, the ownership, but what people really need to understand is that regulation comes after the reality, come after the social agreement on something. So if people use Bitcoin, they store their Bitcoin, they have their value in Bitcoin, the law cannot prevent this. Can accept it and regulate it, but it's something a bit different from, in my opinion, this forbidding Bitcoin, it's really useless. It's impossible technically to prevent people to use it. So basically, it's useless to forbid it. The only thing you can do is regulate it, maybe from the tax perspective or other perspectives. But the point would be to acknowledge the social use that is done and regulate it as a consequence of it.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Nicola. Harsh, coming over to you, do you think regulations can bring a lot of trust and mass adoption into cryptocurrencies?
So in cryptocurrencies, definitely we need to have some sort of regulations which could provide overall guidelines and overall structure into how we are, essentially taking cryptocurrencies. But building on Nicola's point on Bitcoin, right? It's actually very difficult to regulate something like this because there is effectively no central body to regulate, right? The government regulates the economy through the banks that they have. Banks act as these nodal offices, and they are the ones which are regulating. They are the mediums through which the government is kind of regulating how the currency flows, right? Bitcoin doesn't have anything of that sort. So how exactly can they regulate that? There isn't much way that they can regulate that in any way, shape or form. That's why the option what the government could do is, like they're doing in India, they are stopping the conversion from the cryptocurrencies to fiat currencies. That's how the kind of government is getting regulated right now. So that is a very crude way of actually doing it. They need to come up with something more sophisticated to ensure that they are on par and on terms with what the latest advancements are happening. Bitcoin is just a small. I would come back to this point again. Bitcoin is just a small part of the entire crypto world. There are a lot more advanced things which are going on right now, and we need to figure out a broader way and a much more 40,000 feet look at it. How can we exactly regulate the cryptos in a way which is feasible, which is sustainable in the longer run, and it's structured in a way that even the people are accepting it, right? Because if once people have acceptance towards something like this, governments can't really stop it, just by using brute force. That's not a democracy anymore. So that is why an entire clarity of structure really becomes important.
Thank you, Harsh, for so adding those insights, your perspectives to that. So, Dr. Shrikant, coming from just in continuation with just Harsh said, so have governments? Do you think governments have fallen behind when it comes to this technology? Is it because they do not know how to regulate it? I mean, just that's just a question. The technology. That's why there's a lot of ups and downs. Like the Supreme Court, I think, uplifted the ban on cryptocurrencies in India, but now they're having this discussion again. Is it because there is no transparency when it comes to the government standpoint?
See, having worked on a few antitrust matters and money laundering matters, there are few technical things that one needs to understand when. So I'll build on Nicola's point and then come to Harsh's point and then come to my point. From a money laundering perspective, there is something called a FATF, Financial Action Task Force, which is built by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So you really need a convention to actually ratify Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, which will have a mass economic effect. So that's number one. So the impact of that on the overall economy is really not known. And the government doesn't want to take chances, which is perfectly understandable because of the fact that they don't want to have any 1929 or the 1997 kind of a crisis. So they don't want a crisis to occur, which is perfectly understandable, which is something that I'll expect from the governments. So I vehemently argue that the government should not allow cryptocurrencies until they are very confident that it is very acceptable.
Right. So we have different perspectives coming from, I think, Harsh has left. Harsh and Dr. Shrikant. It's okay. It's good to have a debate. So, Fabio, what's your, I think Fabio is going to support Dr. Shrikant, but still I like to know Fabio's perspective.
You see, we need to say something very clearly. There are two reasons why regulators want to get involved with cryptocurrency. One is, I would say, positive, because they want to prevent frauds, they want to make sure that gullible people are not taken advantage of, they want to make sure that the rules in this world are not set against the weaker part of society. And I would add, they want to maintain a control of monetary policy. It would not be desirable to have a financial sector that extends credit recklessly or cuts credit when things go bad during a recession. So the whole point of modern central banking is to use monetary policy to try to steer economic activity. So these might be areas where the regulatory intervention of the public sector is justified. There is a whole different and unspoken part, which has to do with an ideological aversion. And this ideology posits that whoever has money is a criminal. So the burden of proof must be on the individual. If you have money, you have to prove that it's not because you evaded taxes, because you did some criminal activity, because you want to use it for terrorist attack, and so on and so forth. So this is a criminalization of wealth and wealthy people, or simply well-off people. And this has a very clear ideological imprint. And this must not be accepted. The old story that you must know your client. Why do I need to know my client? When somebody buys a car, the car dealer must ascertain where the cash comes from. So the idea that social control must be surreptitiously imposed through the banking and the financial sector must be fought against, because that's a dangerous tendency, and it has already gone too far all over the world. Now we are at the point that you must justify where the money comes from and where it came maybe 20 or 30 years ago. And this is a wound. It's a wound on the normal economic activities, because the burden of proof must not be on the individual. I don't have to prove that I did not do something. It's the prosecutor, it's the police that must prove that I committed a crime, or that the source of my money is illegal. Here we are accepting a complete reversal of legal civilization. So that's what we need to point out, and that's what Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, decentralized finance, and so on and so forth will help to fight.
So, Fabio, that's one point of view. I was speaking to one of the founders from Nigeria. As you know, Nigeria has been #1 in cryptocurrency adoption. So after the ban, I think because it was banned, because what I heard is that the government, the money that was the government making out of remittances were like 20% of what they made in 2020.
Yeah, tax receipt.
So that brings to the fact that, you know, they want to make money, right? That's why they banned cryptocurrency. So what's your perspective, Gary? Because Miami is another country which is in support of cryptocurrencies. I think that's a game-changing moment, I would say. If they prove it successfully, and the rest of the government are going to follow, maybe, I don't know. What's your perspective?
I mean, it's already happened, right? I mean, you see the mayor of Miami is working with the governor of Florida. He just appeared on The View. It's, you know, he's a Democrat. Biden's a Democrat. So there's a lot of PR value in what's happening right now. So acceptance. And that always happens when you have a new technology or service and people, it's education, right? They didn't understand it. So now you see the mass adoption and you see the price of it going through the roof.
Yeah.
And so it's going to happen. He was one of the major impetus for all kinds of different reasons. And he might be listening today. So hi. But anyhow, it's a good thing. And this is the education phase, and it's getting ready to take off. So it's very, very exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Let's take some closing remarks. I'll start with Dr. Nicola. I hope you enjoyed the panel. I thoroughly enjoyed, and had a lot of insights. As always, let's take some closing remarks. Dr. Nicola, over to you, please. Thank you.
Thank you as always for welcoming me, and thank you for all the other speakers. It was really interesting to listen to you. Just my closing remark is to remember that regulators are not always the same. Some are different than the others. Some you can talk to and they answer, like in Switzerland.
Great. There's some talk to. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Nicola. Dr. Shrikant?
Well, two thoughts. I and Nicola are here to stay. That is ascertained thoroughly. And two is, I think the government is being prudent, and I love prudence. So when they're being prudent about cryptocurrency, I for one enjoy a government which is far thinking and prudent about its actions. So I have a different point of view, and I would definitely, if I had sit down with Dr. Fabio, I'll definitely talk about the criminality intent a little more deeply with the jurisprudence established in this system for quite some time. So happy to connect offline.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Shrikant. Fabio, over to you, please.
No, I mean, as a closing remark, first of all, I want to thank you because you're a wonderful host. You've been very, very effective in managing the discussion today. Final remark. I would point out that the main challenge is to weed out from the crypto world and from the broader blockchain, the decentralized finance environment, all the people who are coming to take advantage of it, who think this is a quick, a get-rich-quickly scheme, that they can use more or less fraudulent ways to take advantage of people. We have to focus on what has proven to be effective, reliable, honest, and that's where we need to build this new brave world of decentralized finance.
Right. Great. Thank you so much, Fabio, for those lovely insights and closing remarks. Gary, over to you.
Yeah, Sonny, I always wanted to say this. Doctor, Sonny. We got 3 doctors here. It's amazing.
Dr. Sunny, what was that?
And Sonny.
Okay, now I got it.
So, anyhow, these are great times. The digital transformation's upon us. Crypto's a major part of it. And our lives are changing. The boundaries are being broken down. The cross-border transactions and capabilities, as we're seeing it, are changing at an incredible speed. So, now it's either adapt or die. So the companies and individuals that adapt are going to be successful going through this century, and the ones that don't are going to be in another scale. There'll be 2 scales of people: the ones that have adapted and the ones that haven't. So it's great times, and it's great to be here. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Gary Fowler, Twitter, Gary Fowler. Love to hear from you, and thanks so much for inviting me today.
Thank you, Gary, as always. Thank you. And yeah, guys, dropped off. It's okay. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. I'm back tomorrow on another topic with another set of speakers. Till then, keep watching VCTV and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sonny. Bye.
Thank you, Nicola. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.